12 hours of charging only brought it from 42% to 60%. So this is my first time at a Tesla supercharger. Let's see if I can figure this out. I have been at this Tesla supercharger for only a few minutes, and I have already seen the battery increase very quickly. This works so much better than the overnight charging with the standard electrical outlet. If you own a Tesla, I guess this is how you have to do it. Well, I have already, in a matter of under 15 minutes, gotten as much charge as I got in 12 hours out of the wall outlet. These superchargers absolutely are the way to go. If it takes this long to charge an electric car using a standard electrical outlet, then it is not practical to recharge a car overnight off of a wall outlet, unless you use very little charge during the day. The Tesla knew it was going to a supercharger, and it automatically opened the charging port when I got here. So that charging can begin the moment I plug in. And it preconditioned the battery for faster charging. "45 minutes may seem like a longer time to charge the car, but it is a whole lot faster than charging it at home." You can see the price for the charge increasing as we sit here, and the charge level increasing. In the time that it took to walk into the gas station next door and buy a soda, the car charged considerably. And while the charge did cost substantially more than the soda so far, it is still only around the charge of a gallon of gas next door. And a gallon of gas would be substantially less distance than that charge. So at this rate of charging, not quite 100 times what we were getting at the house on a regular outlet, this car charges, really it took about as much charge in a few minutes as it took all night. The ability to add 262 miles to your range for every hour you're here is good enough. It's not fast. It's not as fast as refueling a car next door with gasoline, but this is sufficient. So I am here at a Tesla supercharger that, according to Google Maps, is a 250 kilowatt charger. But according to the screen here, I am only actually getting 51 kilowatts. So this will take longer than I anticipated to charge the car, and longer than it would take to fuel a car with gas or diesel. Even taking longer to charge because I'm only getting 50 kilowatts instead of 250 kilowatts. And the actual charge that I am getting changes. It was a little higher earlier, but this may take 5 times as long as I anticipated, but is still the fastest way around here to charge an electric car. And if it takes half an hour, and I was fairly low when I pulled in, if it takes half an hour to charge, that's good enough. I can walk next door to the convenience store and get a soda and sit here and charge the car. 49 kilowatts now. But, and I don't know if that's because there are other cars using it. It looks like other vehicles have pulled up since I got here. But the charge will still be fast enough. I mean, from a practicality point of view, this is not perfect, but it is good enough. So, I mean, I am playing the cards I am dealt. But I'm already at 80% charge. This is enough. In a space of a little over 15 minutes, I've gone from a half charge to 81%. So this is sufficient. I have enough charge for today, but I'm going to go ahead and charge it all the way up. So we were closer to 300 miles per hour when I got here, and we're now down almost to 200 because the amount of power it is putting out has dropped. And that actually may be because as the battery gets a fuller charge, it is not able to absorb as quickly. Or it may be because there are several other vehicles charging here. But that one just left. And the number did not get up. It's just me and that other. And we are still at 45 kilowatts, so it is not due to other vehicles charging. 200 miles per hour of... So it must be because the battery is getting more full. But still, the only charging me $4.32 for this amount of charge. This is still a very cost-effective way to do this, even if it slows down. What I like about having this charging station here be right next to a gas station is convenient access to a convenience store that I can go in and get a drink or whatever I want while I am charging the car. So now that I have got the battery to 90% charge, which I did from barely over half for $5.32, the charging rate has dropped down to 29 kilowatts. So the charging speed definitely slows down a lot as the battery gets closer to fully charged. And it warns of that. The battery is almost full, charging at the expected rate for present battery energy level. Expect the charging rate to slow as battery approaches maximum charge level. I suppose that for routine driving, it probably makes more sense to only charge the battery to 80-85% or so, because you can do that very quickly. And then you may have to charge more frequently, but the individual charges will be much faster. But if you need to take a longer road trip and you want to charge the battery all the way to full, you can do it for that. But most of the time, you're probably better off not charging the battery all the way to full, because this is slowed down a lot more than I expected to. I kind of knew that batteries don't charge as fast when they're close to full as they do when they're close to empty, but I did not realize that it was this much of a difference, because the rate has dropped to substantially less than half of the charging speed since I got here. So, now down to 22 kilowatts. So I'm only taking 100 miles an hour of charge instead of 2 and 3 when I started. So it is now saying battery temperature low, and the charging rate is limited by low battery temperature. And it is dropped to 13 kilowatts. So at this point, it's not quite full, but I think I'm going to go ahead and stop charging, because I am now only getting 50 miles of range for every hour of charging. And the sun coming up is blocking my recording because of the glare. But to stop charging, you actually have to say stop charging and unlock the charge port, which I did not have to do when I rented the Nissan Leaf. And so now I have paid $6.08 to charge the car, which, I mean, I basically charged the battery halfway for $6. That is not bad. Because the Tesla uses a non-standard proprietary charger instead of this industry standard SAE J1772 charging port, in order to charge the Tesla, I will have to use an adapter, which they supply. It has a much longer charge window if you use a free charger, like the Volta here. EV charging has arrived, and it is free, and you get what you pay for because it is not as fast. So once again, because the Tesla does not use the standard type of charging port, I will have to put the adapter on to adapt to the Tesla. It is showing at 83%. There's a 2-hour limit, but I will probably not be here that long. And we will see how much charge it gets in 2 hours, or much less than that. So, because Tesla does not use the standard charger, you have to have an adapter, this here, to connect the Tesla to the standard SAE J1772 charger. And this adapter, which has the Tesla connector on one end and the standard on the other, connects to the standard charger that this mall and many others have available for free charging. Also, as you can see, the charging port closes automatically when I disconnect the charging cord. Note for Tesla: start selling soft drinks at your superchargers. The gas stations do. The Tesla proprietary charger is another issue, because there are public charging stations all over the place, but they usually do not have this charger. They have either the standard SAE J1772 charger or the higher speed CCS or CHAdeMO chargers. This kind of restricts where you can get a charge. Yes, you can use the adapter, but it makes it easier if they were to use CCS or something like that. The light went off when the charging was finished. 151 miles of charging per hour is much better, even at only 43 kilowatts, than you can get on a home charger. At the supercharger, I'm getting 49 kilowatts of charge, giving me 159 approximately miles for every hour I am here, plus 3 kilowatt hours, 4 kilowatt hours that I've taken. So it tells me the rate of charge and how much charge I've actually received. And the amount that I'm getting per time seems to be going up a little, but not much. Whereas it was going down before, but that was a much longer charge duration. And I went from low to high, and it cannot absorb as much power as quickly when the battery is closer to a full charge. The Tesla supercharger in Giddings obviously charges at a much higher rate than the previous ones I had used. This is insane. I'm getting over 500 miles of range for every hour I charge. This is awesome. This is far better than anywhere I've previously charged. 125 kilowatts. The rate at which a car charges at a supercharger can vary radically. But at this charging station, I am getting a much higher speed than I've ever seen before. It was over 500 miles per hour of charge when I pulled in, and even as the battery fills up and it slows down, it is slowing down to a still very high, respectable 64 kilowatts. And only having half an hour of charging left is quite impressive. You really have to look around at how fast the charging stations work, because some of them are far better than others. Most charging stations have the charger up towards the front of the car so that you back in, but not all of them. Even at the higher speed superchargers, that even when you're this close to full, 96%, it is still charging over 100 miles of charge per hour, which is quite impressive. But even so, I still like it when they put the charging station next to a restaurant or a convenience store or somewhere that you can go in while you wait. So this place here is fantastic. I am charging at a high usage station and it only wants to charge me to 80%, which I'm not pleased with, but let me see if I can change this. I'm not certain how to change that. It is saying charge complete, but I'm only at 80%, and it is not giving me the option to increase limit. I guess this is a me not knowing how to do this, but they should give me an option somewhere. I'm moving the charge limit to 100%, but if I say start charging, it will not. The charger in Giddings is now saying high usage supercharger station, and charging limit set to 80% as well. It did not this morning. However, it let me manually override and select 100%, which the one in Austin did not. So there's that. What I have now established is that it is entirely possible to take a Tesla on a road trip by using the supercharger network. All you have to do is plan in advance where you are going to charge. You can look online and find which charging stations have the highest recharge speed by kilowatt hours. And unlike a conventional gasoline vehicle, you do have to plan your trip in advance of where you are going to stop and recharge. You cannot just drive and expect to find a gas station. You have to use the supercharger network to plan the trip. You can use other chargers, but you should not expect the same speed of recharge. Because this Volta station uses the standard SAE J1772, which the Tesla is not set up for, I'm going to have to use the adapter that is included with the car. Here I have it. And the car is lighting up blue as it detects it, and green, it is now charging. So I will receive a lower speed but free charging. So the lower speed means it will take 2 hours and 15 minutes to charge the car, which puts me beyond the 2-hour limit here. But it still means I will get most of a charge for free, which is fantastic. So once again, I take the charger out, car closes the charging port. And I have to take this adapter off of the charger before I put putting the charger back. It says charging equipment not ready, and it has a learn more, but when I hit learn more, nothing happens, and it won't tell me why it's not ready or what I need to do about it. So it tells me ready to charge, charging equipment not ready, and I say learn more. It says ready to charge, charging equipment not ready, learn more, and I get nothing. And after all of that, saying the car was ready to charge but wouldn't charge, it is actually charging. So for the second time now, I have had trouble getting the Tesla to charge on a Volta charger. Gives me an error but does not tell me what is wrong. I do not really need a charge right now, but what I am going to do is I'm going to go down the street here. I have reason to go down to this shopping center anyway, and they have a Blink charger, and I have never tried one of those, so we will see how that goes. I do not really need a charge right now, so if I do not get one, it is no problem. Okay, Blink sucks, because I have to log into this charging station, and I am using their app, and their app cannot find their own charging station. So basically I cannot use this thing. So I am leaving this Blink charging station. It told me to download an app. I downloaded the app, and the charging station still will not start because the app cannot find the charging station, thus rendering this charging station worthless. I'm going to post a negative review, but see what good that does me. Here at the mall, I had free charging from Volta, which added very little to my total charge. Not that I really need it at this point. I mean, a little icing on the cake is nice, but the amount of free charge I got there is not anything significant. It seems like as I've said before, you cannot function exclusively off of free charging. It is nice to add a little bit extra to the battery, a few percent, but not enough to actually use that as your means of charging the car. Since I was at the mall for a while, I may as well get some power while I'm there. anything is better than nothing, but it was really not enough to make any significant difference. So I charged the battery this morning, and that was in spring, and I've driven it all the way down to Clear Lake, all the way across Houston to the west side, and I'm now going home, and I still have a little over 2/3 of a charge. And I did get a little power at Clear Lake at Baybrook Mall, but not a lot. So the range on this car, probably in traffic like I've done today, at the speeds I've driven today, the range is probably somewhere in the ballpark of a little over 200 miles. But I suppose on a long distance road trip it might be a little better. I'm not sure. This is all on flat terrain except for freeway overpasses, but the range is probably not as good as the idealized estimates they advertise, but the range is certainly good enough. It's sufficient. I'm going to make it all the way to Tomball before I get down to 2/3 charge. Apparently not quite. I am now passing Willowbrook Mall. It is directly off to my right, and I have now reached 67%. So 2/3 of the battery got me that far. 1/3 used, 2/3 left. So 1/3 of the charge goes this far. Not quite advertised, but still good enough. I am now at 66% charged, and I am about to pass what used to be the Compaq headquarters on 249, which you can see out the window here. So the range is adequate, but I am just not convinced that it is drastically better than the Nissan Leaf was. Because that was in a very hilly environment in California, and I seem to be able to do pretty good distance on a charge. I am once again at a mall, and I have gotten a surprising amount of charge for free in the limited time that I was here, probably less than an hour, and I've gotten apparently about 7 kilowatt hours out of the charge. I'm not sure exactly how long I was here, 45 minutes, less than an hour, and I've managed to get, it says I'm getting 8 kilowatts, which works out to about 7 kilowatt hours that I've gotten. So this is surprising that I got this much, but I'm pleased. The car is not fully charged, but it is approaching its limit. I have 93% charge now, and impressive that I got as much as I did. For a road trip like I did yesterday and went all the way to Austin, you would need to use the higher speed chargers. But now, in the time I was at the mall, I actually picked up more charge than it took to get to the mall. So every little bit helps. You can't use free chargers as your sole means of recharging the car, but you certainly can use free chargers to assist in keeping your car charged. And the amount of power that you can get from a free charger is more than you get in the same length of time charging off of a wall socket. A standard electrical outlet will not kick out nearly enough power unless you have a lot of time to charge the car. But even this little charge I got here, I mean, when I first took the car out this morning, my battery was a little bit lower than this. So I have actually net increased the amount of power in the battery. Not drastically. Free chargers are just not a viable way of using as your sole means of transportation, but if you are traveling around in an area that has a lot of free chargers and you have a lot of time on them, you can actually recharge your car that way. And that is a cost savings, but the impressive thing, both with these Tesla superchargers and with the EVgo I was using last summer in California, is that the cost, if you have to pay to charge an electric car, is still much cheaper than buying gas. And it is much cheaper, even if you treat it like a combustion car and all your charging is done from paid public charging stations, it is still not very expensive. Once you overcome the initial cost of buying an electric car, they are actually not that expensive to operate. The other thing with free charging stations is nobody is going to give you gasoline for free. Nobody is going to give you diesel for free. The fact that there are places that will give you electricity for free is a major selling point for electrical vehicles, because there is nowhere that is going to give me a trickle of free gas, so that whatever gas I use getting somewhere is replaced. But there are more and more places giving out free electricity for electric cars, and I'm starting to very much like it. I cannot possibly be the only person to have ever brought an electric car to a gas station. But until the car charging places start selling sodas, that's what I'm gonna do.
and I can do